Let me turn on my secondary light. Hopefully this works. Hey guys, I'm feeling a bit better. Um, we hit the 1 week mark. So the goal with these videos is I wanted to live stream for a week, take a step back, assess it, do more homework, touch things up, fix things up, all that. So heading out on a trip already, like a wedding. So I might be offline the next couple days, anyways. But there'll be more coming. I just need to decide which way is it going to go. Am I going to keep doing YouTube? I'm digging it. Maybe Rumble, because I don't know if YouTube likes guys like me too much. Maybe Instagram, TikTok, something. I got to look at that. I'm also looking at some of the software that lets me stream on multiple things. So I got to decide if I want to spread it out or just focus. So anyone who knows about that stuff, or if you guys have thoughts, I'd love to hear them because I'm here for you guys. So unvaccinated. How's it going, man? So tonight's question, if you have one too, feel free to post it down below. Tonight's question was from Tim. Hey, Bravo. I was always a bit of a wuss and afraid of confrontation. I'm almost 24 years old now and still intimidated by alpha males, even when I just see a picture of one on Facebook. What can I do to overcome this? So, and actually, he had a follow up too about taking things too emotional and takes things personally. So they kind of really tie into all this, to the same thing. And I also titled this video what to do like if you're scared of men, but just in general. And I think that's all again related. So wherever you come at it from, whether it's like evolutionary psychology or whatever, I think it's kind of natural to be uneasy, to feel a twinge inside you when you're around like other guys from another tribe. I think that's just the way it goes. And usually the guys who are the weaker guys are the ones who feel it the most and get the most nervous because they're not used to confrontation. They're not used to button heads. They're not used to standing up for themselves. A lot of people like that who are followers that kind of just get lost in the crowd. I could see that being a bigger issue for them. I never really felt like that. I always felt like, I don't know if this is growing up having an older brother or just having the life I had where you kind of had to figure things out and take care of yourself for a lot. I just kind of never really took shit. So I think that played a part of it too, like where I just kind of stood up for myself. So do I ever feel scared or intimidated by other guys? Yeah, I think everyone has. I think the biggest thing though that helps you get over that was like I had an older brother and we fought a lot. And my older brother was like a big tough guy. So me getting those reps like helped me out. So when I was in school, I was real small. I actually got in high school and I was so small they thought I had a growing disorder. I almost got on HGH, so I could be like 6 foot something right now. So I'm like 5'8" with socks on. So I'm technically under 5'8". It's funny because people meet me, they're like, "Oh, I always thought you were bigger." So I'm not a huge guy. I think my energy and my confidence carry a lot and maybe make me look bigger, but it's also the training experience I have. So like having an older brother, like I said, the kind of fighting, roughhousing, that kind of stuff. Well, if I had troubles, like I remember in grade school, bigger kids picking on me, like I could throw them in a headlock and flip them on the ground. And I did that to like the biggest kid in our class who was like freakishly big. Everyone thought he was like my brother and other people saw it. They thought he was like an 8th grader or something. And then all of a sudden I have a reputation and people know not to like mess with me. I started high school. I wrestled for a bit, but I got into like Brazilian jiu-jitsu pretty early. Like I think I technically started it officially in like 99. But like I wrestled and my brother was doing it. I was learning stuff. I was helping him practice. We had some old Half Gracie tapes. So like I learned how to do some good chokeholds and stuff. And so that's just it's a superpower when other people don't know anything. And then I did jujitsu after that. So then when I was at work and there's some big guys messing with me, like I could shove them against the wall and like double leg them and pick them up. And all of a sudden I have a big dude over 6'2", like on my shoulder and like can do whatever I want with them. And I think that was again, then people were like, "Oh yeah, don't fuck with him." So that's the secret, I think, is you got to level up, you got to toughen up to where you have experiences like that, and then you know firsthand that like, oh, I can handle myself. The other thing is you start realizing, especially when you start going to like cool jujitsu schools. I went when I was in LA, I trained at 10th Planet for a little bit. I actually rolled with Joe Rogan when he was there, when he was a brown belt. And oh man, he was good. He was so good. I've had only a couple guys ever like just control me and not let me move anywhere like he did that time. And like one of them's like a 4th degree black belt. So like he's really legit. Anyways, there was one dude there, and I just started. I think I had a couple weeks in, maybe it was a couple months, but I had my cardio back, so I felt pretty good rolling. And I went against a little Asian guy, and like I'm like 200 pounds now. I think I was like 185 then. This dude was like 135 or something, and I didn't know it at the time, but I think he was like a champion purple belt, like high level, like champion purple belt. And we rolled, and he did whatever he wanted to me. And actually, he rolled and was kicking over for an armbar, kicked me in the nose. I've broken my nose multiple times. I think he was the first one to break it after I had surgery fixing it, and it was an accident. But like, just manhandled me, broke my nose. I couldn't do anything. I joke afterwards that I was like, if this little Asian guy wanted to just have his way with me, I'm trying not to say the certain word on here, but if he wanted to do whatever he wanted to me, I couldn't have stopped him. And I like to think I'm kind of tough for who I am, but could have done whatever he wanted. And he was a smaller dude. And if you saw him, he looks like a nerdier guy, like a computer dude. So I think you start realizing too later, like some of the toughest dudes I know, the baddest dudes I know, A, they're some of the nicest. And B, they don't look like the toughest, baddest dudes. They look like average dudes. So that's another thing that like just because someone looks like an alpha male, that doesn't mean anything. I've coached guys for so many years that I've coached guys, if you looked at them, like guys that are like models, military, huge, big, buff dudes, like one dude who was tall, could model, I think did model, was like a bodybuilder, and then was like a doctor, like the whole package. And then he's like a very timid, nice, soft guy. So you start realizing when you start going around to martial arts schools and training that a lot of the big tough guys actually aren't the toughest. And they joke about that. You go to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school, a lot of nerdy guys there, and they're like the fucking toughest guys. So that's how it was. My old jiu-jitsu coach up in Northern Arizona was a college professor. He was like a medical professor, taught like doctor stuff. So super nerd. And man, he was awesome. So you start also realizing that like your perception's wrong, that just because someone looks like that doesn't mean they are. And then you start realizing, oh, like anyone can be tough. So I need to be prepared for that. And then other people notice that. But then also you start doing like martial arts training. It should lead into like weapons training, because I don't care how tough you are. If there's a couple of them, you can't empty hand your way really out of it. So that's where weapons come into play. And then pretty simple. I got to the point where I feel like I can handle myself when I'm out and about, and that the people who are with me are safe when they're with me. Like they don't have to worry about it. I'm the one who takes care of it. And then you have a few experiences where you get to prove that. And then all of a sudden you're not really intimidated or scared about that at all. So I think, like I said, it could be where we live. It's like the end of the road. And there's a lot of people who love to race motorcycles. I used to be one of those guys who'd gun the shit out of it. So this is payback. I think it's really kind of the guys who've never done that, never trained hard or done anything, who probably feel that the most. And then it's so inside them that just seeing pictures triggers it, which really, I mean, if you're scared of spiders, you see a picture of a spider. I was scared of heights. I saw a Jackie Chan movie where they're fighting on the rooftops, crazy one, I forget which one, and my hands are sweating. Or that video of the guy climbing the giant tower, changing the light on the radio antenna. Like I can't even sit still watching that. I have to like stand up, get behind my chair, and kind of walk around. Like I'm not good with heights. So just seeing a picture, I don't think that's necessarily anything else like extra for that. Like if something intimidates you, boom, then a picture of it has the same effect. So I think getting to the cause of it is because you don't feel confident and you don't feel you can handle yourself. Well, then you got to learn those skills. And again, some of the toughest guys I know, Man, even doing the martial arts, the weapons training. I remember one of the highest level guys I've ever trained with when I went out to California. He's like a small Asian guy, and he's like laughing and talking and doing whatever he wants, while I'm struggling as hard as I can to try to do a move or something, and I just can't do anything to him. So, I mean, once you start training, you start realizing that, and like I said, you stick with it, and then you get tough, and then you start doing that to other people, and then magically your confidence is there, right? Because how do you build confidence? Competence breeds confidence. So you got to become competent first. And then if that's the case too, where you're scared of guys, like when they're talking to girls, because there was another question about this, about mixed sets and stuff, like how do you deal with that? But that to me was never an issue, because I just kind of think about it like prison. If you like don't disrespect someone, you usually don't have any problems. I mean, obviously there's crazy people and stuff, but generally when I go out and there's a guy with a girl or a group of girls and then with a guy, like I'll make a joke. I'm like, man, you got like 5 girls with you. You're a rock star, man. You're my hero. I got to learn and take notes from you. How do you make this happen? And he's like, oh no, they're just my friends. And then right there, he just told me what the deal was. But like I came in assuming they were all his girlfriends. So instead of like a dude coming in trying to steal some girls from him, then he has to go into protection mode and like, yeah, F that guy. I go in going, oh man, these are all your women. This is amazing. And I've done that so many times. Usually what happens is if there's a guy in the group who likes one of the girls, he'll act like they're his girls. And then the girls will be like, "Ah, we're not dating. Like, no, he's just my friend." Or like one time it was the brother. Oh, no, that's so-and-so's brother. And I'm like, oh, okay. But obviously he liked the girl. But like I didn't blow him out. The girl blew him out. So then later, like it's kind of more fair play. So even that, when you're talking to guys in sets, which I don't like the term sets, just a group of people, when you're talking to them, just talk to him. I usually talk to him first. And then, because he's going to probably be the one who's like, if he's a stand up guy, he's going to want to protect his group. So then, like, as a man to man thing, like a little respect. And then I'll go a little overboard saying that. Well, I should say past tense with all this, but I would go a little overboard. Man, you got all these women here. I need to take notes from you. This is like, I'd love to live like this. It's whatever. And then they'll either give it to you straight, which they're not dating almost anyone or one person. Or like I said, usually the girls will jump in very quickly. Oh no, ooh, we're not dating him. He's just the guy acted like it once. And then she's like, "Ah, we're not dating. That's so-and-so's brother." And I could just see like he was acting all cool and just went, oh, and I just deflated. But he can't be mad at me about that because I came in cool, right? So I think that's another thing is if you talk to them, talk to the guys and just be cool. A lot for the most part, if someone's drunk, crazy, drugs, yeah, there's always anomalies. And that could just be the case walking down the sidewalk. And we see videos of that. Someone just turns around and attacks you or whatever, a crazy person attacks you. So not talking about that, talking about normal stuff where if you just go in and you're cool and the guy doesn't feel disrespected or feel like he needs to check you, then they usually don't. They're usually cool. Especially if he's got a group of attractive women around him, he's probably not a huge piece of shit unless they're all crazy drug addicts or whatever. Like there could be a reason for that, but then you'll find out very quickly and hey, have a nice night. And then again, you're just being positive and cool and social. And then someone else might have saw you talking to them and now you got some social proof from that. So that's how I think. All right. There's 2 questions or 2 comments. And I think I set it up to where these will show. Last time I didn't have it checked. So that's all part of the learning process with this where I got to figure it out. But like I didn't check mark that. So then later I'm talking to people and there's no comments. So I guess I could always pretend like there's comments, but I didn't do that. It's kind of like pickup, right? Like how guys think every dude that looks like Chad is not scared of cold approaching women. I should have read that a minute ago. Yes. And I've coached tons of guys who are way better looking than me. Way better looking. I've coached guys where when we go out to the bar, I used to go to the bars a lot for coaching when I was years ago, that I realized day game is actually better when I'm doing a one-on-one because I can observe better. And also we don't go to a bar, do 1 or 2 approaches. Let's say you have a bad interaction. Well, now that place is ruined and we got to go to another place. Like that's a lot of time and a lot of work, cover charge, all that. No, doing a one-on-one is all about trying to let me observe you as much as possible and give you advice and feedback. So day game actually works better for that. I learned that lesson. See, this is another thing. Like I don't instantly have all the answers. I'm always learning, always trying to improve. I had a one-on-one where a dude from Norway was saving up for a car and then decided, you know what, maybe a one-on-one with Bravo would be better. Came out here, couldn't talk to a woman to save his life. At the end of it, we ended up going to the mall because he wasn't 21. So at the end of it, I had him cold approaching girls, sitting down with them, sitting at the food court, getting numbers. It was awesome. He was like, best decision ever. And it was because with him, I couldn't take him to the bars that we did that. And then afterwards, I was like, whoa, he had so many more interactions. I had so much more feedback for him that I was like, wow, this is like what I'm doing for now on. And so anyways, day game. That's the best way to coach when you're doing one-on-ones. Bars, when you have a group of people. But yeah, I've coached more good-looking guys. I've gone out doing one-on-ones where we go in, girls will approach them, and then they don't know what to say. But you got to think about it too. Like, it's just, they got lucky in the DNA lottery. Like, they could still have the exact same inner game issues. And that's what a lot of attractive women, they have the same inner game issues that other people have. So we're humans. A lot of people have the same things. I think the girls that I've met who are attractive that have like the best vibe are usually like the ugly ducklings. So they actually had to work on personality. They didn't get everything handed to them because of their looks. They had to work on some personality and cultivate their life, their skill sets, all that. And then they kind of blossomed into the beautiful swan. And I'll even talk about that when I was with a pretty girl. And I would say, I was like, wow, you have a cool vibe. You got like good energy. Like, that's not usually when I hang out with a really attractive girl. It's like, it's kind of hit or miss. They either are airhead ditzy girls or like very rarely like cool like you. So let me guess, you weren't probably just attractive growing up, or you weren't the pretty girl in school. And they're like, oh, no way. And then they love pulling out pictures and showing you and stuff. And then that turns out to be like the best. And that's really like, if you look at old pictures of me and stuff, I feel like that was the case too. Those old AFC pictures of me. I think there's one on my website, me with like a Ferengi when I was at the Star Trek, not Star Wars. I was just talking about the Star Wars show, Star Trek, The Experience in Vegas, which that's a great story. If you guys ask about it, I'll share it. That's one of my all-time favorite routines, not on this video, but having a nerd off with a girl on a date, or even when you're first interacting, the nerd off, because then you get to get deep with something, usually a great story. But my nerd off story, which always wins, is me going to the Star Trek, The Experience. And yeah, there's a picture of me with a Ferengi and stuff. And I think it's like one in a Borg, I don't know, something in the case, maybe a Klingon. Anyways, yeah, it was pretty AFC. The videos of the dudes doing crazy parkour on skyscrapers. Yeah, I can't really watch those. And there's one where the guy like started, like he jumped and then hit the wire and almost fell. And I was like, ooh, that's hard. But then I try to actually force myself. So like I went skydiving years ago. So like I try to force myself to do those things. That's why I watched that video, because when I noticed that I have something like that, I don't want to run from it. If anything, I don't know, aversion therapy. I want to kind of acclimate myself to it. So then I watch it. My best friend's 6'7", attractive built, and never got over approach anxiety. I introduced him to every girl he's ever dated. There you go. And that's like, so that dude's like almost a foot taller than me. And like can't talk to girls to save his life. Same thing with lots of big guys where they were like tough. Some of the dudes who played football and stuff, they're like some of the biggest, toughest, scariest guys. And then they're like the nicest. If you get into like wrestling, old school wrestling stories, I was just watching a clip of like Bret Hart talking about Earthquake, who was like, was it Earthquake? Yeah. Who was a sumo champ, a wrestling champ, all this stuff. And there was like the nicest guy and called people sir and stuff. So a lot of times, like those big guys are some of the nicest, friendliest. They can flip the switch and use it if they need to, but a lot of them don't want to. And the same thing here. Tall, good looking, can't approach to save their life because they might have got a couple better cards than you, but anyone who plays poker knows it's not like necessarily the cards you got. Obviously, it's a huge part of it, but it's how you play them. Like I can play a game of poker and lose, and another dude can play and win the $1 million pot. Like even though that guy and that guy could beat me, he plays it better, so he gets them to fold. So all of a sudden, same cards, same game, same people, Only difference is me versus a professional poker player. Well, he can win with the same cards that I lose with. So how's that possible? Skill and experience. So, all right, because there's a couple guys in here, if there's anything else you guys want to add or say, go for it. I'm still a little under the weather. I'm much better than yesterday. That's a little social engineering tip. So, like, I know that I get sinus infections because I've broken my nose multiple times. So anytime I get sick, it usually turns into a sinus infection, and they don't go away without antibiotics. So every time I have a new doctor, I have to like tell them that. A lot of doctors nowadays don't want to prescribe antibiotics for this. So A, I got to test the doctor and see how cool they are about it. B, let them know like, hey, this is what I deal with for years. And usually I can get them to call in a prescription and have it ready. So that way, if I start getting sick, I can call in, get it, and then I just got to see them afterwards. So before I even started fully feeling it, I was already like on antibiotics. So I even like figured out how to do that for myself. And I have to like train every doctor that I go to. Like, this is what I need. This is what I do. And then when I've had it before where it doesn't work, then I just get antibiotics somewhere else. So I have a stockpile. So, I mean, it's the same mindset with all the stuff I do. Tactical trainings. There's some blades up there. I just started getting into Flipper Zero, playing around with that. There's some toys, some tactical toys right over there. Like, it's radios. I started getting into that. It's all the same mindset across the board. Like, and I really think that's why I got so good at pickup so fast, is because I was already doing this tactical kind of stuff. Got divorced, read the game, read it in 3 days, was out the first night. There was a group of 4 of us all out trying this stuff. Hadn't even finished the book yet. And I'm like, let's go, let's try it. Read it in 3 days. We went out another time. One guy quit. We went out another time. The second guy quit. So then it was just me and the guy who originally had the game that was keeping it a secret from me, who later became my wing, which really helped us because we were like pushing each other. But that's like how into this I was. And very quickly, I started having success because I'd already trained martial arts, already went through firearms training, like didn't know how to shoot a gun. Well, later I worked my way up on the director of training at a gun range. So I went through this process of, I know it's going to suck. I know it's going to be awkward. Then I know you're going to have to put in work and you're eventually going to get better. And then if you keep doing it, and then don't just go through like the practice stuff, but try to understand it on a deeper level, then you get better and better. And so like I've already done that with multiple things in my life. And so when I read the game and I found out about pickup, A, it flipped a switch in my head. Wow, this is something I can improve on. B, oh shit, that's what I did wrong. That's what I did wrong. That's why that girl called me. All these pieces came together. But like I never had a boot camp. I never had anyone help me. It was just, I read the game, had what was in there, which is very little, but it gave me the idea, like this is something I can improve and work on. And then I started going out, and we were out 3 or 4 nights a week. And it took a good 3 months before I was starting to get some success and glimpses of hope. But even that, like I was a guy who could never go out and talk to girls and had crazy social anxiety. And unless I had a few beers, but it was funny. I was like a guy all my friends thought was great with girls. The reason my old wing didn't share the book with me originally is because he thought if I read it, none of them would get any girls because their perception was like Grosch gets girls. So I did okay, but nothing special, nothing that I was happy about. I missed and froze 99.9% of the time. But that was the thing that when I realized, and I was desperate after my divorce. I was like, all right, I got to figure this stuff out in this area of my life. Because if I don't know if I want a life like that. So I was never doubted, never had any nights where I wanted to quit. I was like, this is what I got to do. It took me about 3 months before I started getting some glimmers of hope and started seeing the Matrix, glimpses of it. 6 months doing really well. And then I think it was about 9 months. Then I had been dating a whole bunch, lots of relationship kind of stuff, open relationships and things. And then met a girl that I started dating, got real serious with. And anyways, and that kind of became what I always did, where I would date a lot. I was single, date a lot, have fun, start looking for girlfriends, start taking girlfriend applications, get a girlfriend. Because remember, I got married when I was young. Like, that's what I dig. That's what I liked. All right. Bro, I'm just glad you're making content again. The last video I saw from you on the ProTech flashlight review. So I did one of the flashlights, but I did those before. And see, even that's an example of what I'm talking about right now. Like, even I feel it. Like, putting videos up, it's hard for me. It's rewatching them later. Like, I don't want to see myself. The freeze frame I see of myself, I have two screens on Discord right now. Like, I'm in the middle of talking, my mouth is open, I'm looking away. Like, I cringe when I see that. But this stuff, just like everything, it never gets easier. You just get better. So I've started and stopped and kind of like, oh, I'll put up some content. And it was hard for me. It's hard for me to do this. I think though, even just this week, from where I started till now, game changer. And I went from like having lots of anxiety of doing my first one to like tonight, I'm like, okay, here, I'm going to do a video. Technically, I already did my 7 days, but let me do another one and I'll put it up. And then who knows, maybe on this trip this week and I can pull up my phone and just do one live just from my phone. Cause I got so many questions people have asked that I've been putting on a list together, but this is an example of it right here. So the fact you guys are here and liking it, awesome. I really appreciate it. I think what will happen too is I don't know if this will be something I do every night. Like maybe there'll be like a weekly call that I do or stream that I do. And that way it kind of builds up to it. And it makes it special. So that way more likely people are going to be there. But also like just my time is it's not here as much. But who knows? If this takes off, maybe I fucking turn into a streamer and I'm sitting in front of my camera all day. So it's flashlights, game changer stuff. I kind of was just putting stuff on the shelf, things I'm into, things I like, things I'm currently playing with. Cigars, Everclear. That's something I'm playing with for alcohol stoves and other things. Radios, Flipper Zero. But flashlights, that's actually like right there. So love my flashlights. His fiance was introducing us to his family, etc. And the mom said something that she needs to watch him because girls must love him. She said, "Oh no, got to watch out for status. He's a smooth one." Yep. And that's the dudes I know that have better cards than I do typically have way more securities. A lot of times they don't play them. They don't know how to play them. They don't have the experience playing the cards. And like one of the junior coaches with our my old company, really good looking guy, tall, like basketball player in high school, like cool dude too, friendly, like good dude, good looking. And we'd talk about that at seminars and he would be like, hey, he's like, I'm a good looking guy. It gets you a few seconds. That's all it's ever done. It'd buy me a few seconds. But then if I can't make something happen, like I get a little extra boost right at the beginning. But if he doesn't make something happen, it's over. He's like, that's all I got. I get like a couple seconds chance that other guys don't. And that's the way it goes. Some guys are better looking. Some guys are smarter. Some guys are better at business. Like, so everyone has their pros and cons. And if you think about it, it's almost like a video game character where you have your attribute points and you're like, yeah, some of us have higher charisma. Some of us have higher intelligence. So that's just the way it goes. Like everyone has things they excel at and things they aren't as good at. The key is don't just stick with the stuff that you're good at and try to get better at that. Like do the stuff you're not good at and try to get better at that. That's what really helps you level up. Because if you're like a 90 in this and like a 2 in this, going from a 90 to like a 95, that's going to take a lot of work. But going from like a 2 to a 20 or a 30, that's like a huge improvement. And it just helps you. Like any of the stuff, especially social skills, confidence, it spills over to everything you do in life. So these are some of the most valuable skills. And really this is stuff that like guys used to be taught. Like people used to be taught this. They had gentlemen's schools, they had finishing schools, they had parents teaching this, manners and all that. But a lot of us, it was either lost, just like family history and family stories, and people immigrated here and they wanted to assimilate, and all of a sudden 2 generations later you don't know anything about where anyone came from or why they came here. So I think a lot of this stuff just got lost, or maybe our parents just didn't realize like it needed to be taught, or maybe it wasn't taught to them so they can't teach it. But yeah, this stuff, social skills, the confidence, that carries over to so much in life. And that's why the tagline on the website, I'm going to misquote it because I have 2. The main site, when you go there, it says find love, discover purpose, rewrite your story. Well, there's a reason I picked that. But at the very top, there's one, and I kind of am throwing it around a lot now. elevate your game, elevate your life. And that is a better way of saying, like, pickup exposes like your bigger issues. So a lot of guys, oh, I have trouble getting a girl. Well, it's not just getting a girl, like there's other stuff going on. That's just a symptom of larger overall issues. So when you elevate your game, like if you do that, you have to be elevating your life. Because if you're not really elevating your game, then you're going to get the results. You might get short-term success, but you're going to realize very quickly like those results don't last. But if you're elevating your life, elevate your game, elevate your life, like the game is what shows you where your weaknesses are. Stream started buffering for me. It could be my internet, like 5-second spikes. Yeah, and actually I think there was earlier there was a pop-up on this. So that's something I even got to decide too. Do I do live streams, right? I just do videos, but I like this. I like interacting with people. I think I'm better off the cuff and talking. So this will probably be what it is. Love the shelves, bro. Keep up the great work. Great men's content is so few. I agree. There's very few out there. So I'll end on that. That's actually the final push of why I'm doing this. Is there's so much crap out there. There's so many guys scamming people, lying to people, false hope. And I saw it all. Like I'd go to the seminars, I went to the PUA summits. Like I saw this stuff. I saw it all. There's only a handful of dudes in this whole industry that I think are legit, that actually like did well dating. And then there's some of those who are just fall into that category, but obviously there's more, but then there's less who then can teach also. So simplest way is like you look at who I'm friends with, who I interact with, who I'm Facebook buddies with, whose events I've gone and spoke at, who's come and spoken at my events. Like very simple to see who I think the legit guys are. The testimonials I have up, like that's it. Those are the guys I like talk to and communicate with or did. And those are the guys I think that are solid. There's only a couple guys I've ever met that were new who got into this stuff and started teaching that I think had good stuff to offer and were trustworthy and like solid dudes. And then again, same thing, like I'm buddies with those guys. We hung out and have done stuff together. So there's so much bad stuff out there. There's so much incorrect lies, all that. There's so much, and it's been going on for years. And this is also why Project X went away. There's been so many people attacking all this stuff that like I used to have waiting lists of 50, 60 people wanting one of 6 spots for one of my boot camps. But then after the stuff started getting put on CNN and dudes were getting kicked out of Australia and stuff, like all of a sudden no one wants to go to a boot camp. No one wants other people knowing that they're into this stuff, which I get. And so boot camps are just gone, and then everything's turned into one-on-ones, and then one-on-ones are always private. And so then that just turned into everything I do, and I've been doing one-on-ones for years. So getting the word out there, spreading it, giving some good advice, helping guys out. There's not a lot of guys out there. Some of them they put out good content, but then it's actually like not really helpful or like doesn't really explain stuff. So it might be just entertaining to watch. So I think that was another thing. But anyways, it finally got to the point where I was like, I gotta put it out there. If I'm not helping dudes, like someone else will. And like, there's a reason. You look online, look up, try to find a bad testimonial, try to find a bad review, get on Discord, my old forum. I can bring it back up. There's like pages and pages of all these good stuff. There's never been one negative testimonial anywhere, one negative review from anyone I actually really coached, like that I've really, really worked with. So there's a reason. So I just finally was like, okay, if they're not learning from me, they're going to learn from someone else. Power unused is power abused. I was like, I gotta step up. This is my calling. This is what I do. This is what I help guys with. So if they're not going to come to me, they're going to go to some douchebag. So all the stuff I was avoiding, all the stuff I didn't like, I like being low key. I like people not knowing who I am. I like having a website where when people sign up for coaching or apply for a one-on-one, I go, how'd you hear of me? Because I don't advertise. Like I used to, for 10 plus years, I prided myself on that. Like never advertised, never shared anything. Like I like being low key, and it's either a referral or someone just gets lucky and finds me, and I like that. But I guess now's the world needs me, so dudes need me. And like I said, if they're not learning from me, they're going to learn from someone else. It's kind of the same thing with martial arts. If they're not going to train with you and learn good stuff, well, then they're going to go to like a crappy school down the road. So that's it. It finally got to the point. It actually got to this point a little bit ago, but then married and had a baby. So it got put on the back burner. But now, when her sleep schedule changed and I had more free time, raising a baby is a lot, man. It's a lot. It's awesome. It's a lot. So a lot more sympathy for all those guys out there. The guys I coached who have kids, and they're like, "Oh man, I got to start dating." I'm like, "Oh man, that was never had any empathy for them." Now I'm like, "You're fucking rock stars, dude," because this is a lot of work. I think it gets a little easier when they start talking and stuff more. But yeah, it's a lot. So that happened now, and I'm gonna be having more free time coming up. So I was like, all right, now's the start. This is the beginning of where this all goes. So there'll definitely be more. Thanks, guys. Right on, bro. Too many grifters and not real good people out there. Yep. Yep. I see that all the time. And I've seen a couple crazy ones recently. Well, a year or two ago that were just crazy things come out about the guys and stuff. And yeah. So, like I said, I like being low key. I like doing my thing. I like kind of being on the DL, but I guess it had to happen. So I'm here. So thanks, guys, for showing up. Thanks for the support. I have it on Discord. If you subscribe, obviously, I think you get alerts for this. I've linked it before. I'll try to come back in here and edit it, but there's two other channels, the Bravo Hood and the EDC Expert. And I'm both of those. If you go to StephenGrosch.com, it has links to both those, the websites. And so that also is something as I started working on all this. I was like, all right, let me kind of separate the two. I'm going to do tactical stuff. Because the last couple classes I did out here in Arizona, like, weren't boot camps. Like I said earlier, those kind of stopped. But all the classes I've been doing recently have all been tactical classes. Firearms training, edge weapon training, comms, low light. Like, that's all been the stuff that I was doing. And so that's my passion. And then teaching guys and helping this is my passion. So I like doing both those. I think they're hand in hand with just being a good, solid dude. Is you need both those skills. So I teach those. I stay in my wheelhouse. I do what I do. Like I'm pretty good with an AR, but like I don't teach AR stuff because there's so many dudes out there that are epic with ARs who used them and like go to those guys. But when you start getting to like handgun stuff, like I'm pretty good with the handgun. I can hang with some high level dudes. So like I've never gone to a gun class where like I wasn't the best shot. So I think that's still the case at the end. Yeah, I did some quals and I think I got like the highest of the three. But anyways, like with a handgun, I'm pretty good. And with knife stuff, I'm pretty good. And with low light stuff, like I'm really good. So I'm very confident in what I do when I teach, but like when it comes to dating and pickup, I mean, very rarely do I ever refer someone to someone else. There's a couple guys out there that have some specialties where I'm like, go to that guy to learn from it. But I think what I share and what I teach is as good as it gets. So I'm trying to put more of it out there. And that way it helps the guys who need it. And then also, obviously, it's like the business move. Then people go, oh, I like that. I want to learn more. And then they go to the website. And then online game coaching programs, $50 a month, smoking deal, weekly private calls with me. Well, the guys in the group, phone coaching, and then one-on-ones, and then classes here and there. So then that's how I pay bills and how I live. I've just been doing this. Did some of it on my own, worked for a company in Hollywood for a couple of years, went solo right before my 30th birthday. So now I'm 43. So for 13 years, I've been doing this solo as my job. So being able to do that without advertising and sharing this kind of stuff, I think that speaks volumes. But like I said, it's time we got to get this out there. Too many grifters and stuff. So, all right, guys, I'm going to run. I'm watching Sandman. I don't know if you guys have seen that show on Netflix. I saw a clip of it. It looked kind of cool. Watching that with Mrs. G. So we're going to watch an episode and go to bed because we're both sick and tired. Thanks for coming. I'll talk to you guys later.